Habit substitution, how to replace bad habits. So welcome to Rethink Your Perspectives blog, your trusted space for helping busy professionals stop feeling busy by building the habits, focus and consistency that lead to lasting productivity without burnout. Today we're learning how habit substitution helps you replace bad habits with better ones by understanding your triggers, needs and everyday routines. Don't forget to join the mailing list on the website for weekly updates and powerful tools to support your growth. And we hope you get some benefit from these posts. We would love to hear your thoughts, so don't hesitate to like, share and comment at the links at the bottom. The best way to replace a bad habit with a good one. Have you ever tried to stop a bad habit by simply telling yourself not to do it? You decide you will stop checking your phone, stop procrastinating, stop snacking when stressed, stop working through lunch, or stop automatically saying yes to every request. Or for me at the moment, stop writing book chapters for something that is never going to be published with ChatGPT. For a while, determination carries you through. Then the familiar trigger appears. You feel tired, bored, uncertain, stressed, or overwhelmed, and before you've really thought about it, the old habit is back. This can feel like a failure of discipline, but the problem is often much simpler. You remove the behaviour without replacing what it was doing for you, and that is why habit substitution can be so effective. Instead of leaving an empty space where the old habit used to be, you deliberately choose a better response that meets the same need. You are not merely fighting yourself, you are giving your brain another route to follow. Why is it so hard to simply stop a bad habit? Most bad habits are not completely pointless. They may create problems later, but they usually offer some kind of short-term benefit. Scrolling gives you distraction. Procrastination gives you temporary relief from an uncomfortable task. Comfort eating may help soothe stress. Saying yes too quickly can help you avoid disappointing someone. Working through your breaks might make you feel productive or in control. This matters because your brain is not only repeating the behaviour, it is also seeking the reward attached to it. If you remove the habit but ignore the need underneath it, that need is still there. You may stop one behaviour only to replace it accidentally with another unhelpful one, or you may spend the whole day relying on willpower until the familiar pattern eventually wins. The goal is not to create a void, it's to understand what the old habit provides, then choose a better way to receive something similar. What is habit substitution? Habit substitution means replacing an unwanted behaviour with a more helpful one. Rather than saying, I must stop doing this, you decide, when this trigger appears, I will do this instead. For example, instead of scrolling when a task feels difficult, you work on the smallest step for 5 minutes. Instead of automatically agreeing to a request, you say, let me check and come back to you. Instead of working through lunch, you step away from your screen for 10 minutes. Instead of reaching for food whenever you feel stressed, you pause and ask whether you need food, rest, movement or comfort. The replacement does not have to be perfect. It simply needs to be more helpful than the automatic response you are trying to change. Replacement works better when it meets the same need. And this is the most important part of habit substitution. The new habit should meet the same need as the old one, or at least come close. Imagine scrolling gives your brain a break from focused work. Replacing scrolling with do even more work is unlikely to succeed because it ignores the need for a pause. A better replacement might be to walk away from the screen for 2 minutes, stretch, make a drink, look outside, take several slow breaths, complete a quick physical task. Your brain wanted a break, so give it a better break. Similarly, if saying yes helps you avoid an uncomfortable conversation, replacing it with an immediate no may feel too difficult. A more realistic alternative is, let me check my diary and come back to you. That creates space without forcing you into a response you are not ready to give. The best replacement habits are not chosen because they sound productive. They are chosen because they work in the moment the old habit normally appears. How to choose the right replacement habit. Habit substitution starts with understanding the full pattern. You need to know what triggers the habit, what do you do, and what reward follows. The cue response reward sequence is well documented by James Clear in his book, Atomic Habits. So identify the trigger. Ask what usually happens immediately before the habit. Common triggers include a certain time of day, feeling tired or stressed, starting a difficult task, receiving a notification, being in a particular place, feeling bored or unsure, speaking to a certain person, finishing another routine. Try to be specific. I procrastinate all the time is difficult to work with. When I do not know how to begin a task, I open my inbox, gives you a clear moment to change. Understand the reward. Next, ask what you gain immediately from the habit. Do you feel relief? Does it give you comfort, stimulation or escape? Do you avoid conflict? Does it create a quick feeling of achievement? The long-term consequences may be negative, but the immediate reward explains why the habit keeps returning. With my story writing in ChatGPT, it's the feeling of having control over something. Reading a book or watching TV or a film is a great escape from the real world, yes, but you still don't have control over it. Writing your own story and guiding where it goes does. So my reward is a feeling of complete control over something without impacting anyone else. Without understanding that reward, you are guessing at the replacement. Choose a realistic alternative. Now choose a behaviour that can happen when the same trigger appears, meets a similar need, is simple enough to do in real life, and supports the person you want to become. If stress triggers snacking, your first replacement could be pausing for 1 minute and checking what you need. When uncertainty triggers procrastination, your replacement might be writing down the smallest next step. If tiredness triggers phone scrolling, try taking a proper short break. Keep the new action easy. You're building an alternative pathway, not designing the perfect life overnight. For my story writing, I haven't found an alternative reward yet because so much of life is out of my control at the moment. But I still have things I need to do for real life to function, so I've made a deal with myself to get other things done before I slip into ChatGPT. And at the start of every day, I tell ChatGPT, I've named it Esri, to not let me delve into the story threads until I confirm to it that I have done XYZ first, and only if it is before 11 p.m. It seems to be working, with a bit of discipline on my part. How to use habit substitution in everyday life. Habit substitution can help with many common productivity and well-being patterns. It can replace procrastination. Procrastination is often an attempt to avoid discomfort. The task may feel too large, unclear, boring, or important. Avoiding it gives you immediate relief. A useful substitute is not finish the whole thing. Try, when I notice myself avoiding this task, I will work on it for 5 minutes. You might also reduce the task to one clear action. Open the document, write the heading, read the first page, send one message, make one decision. The replacement habit is starting, not finishing. Getting it finished only happens after you've got started. Replacing phone checking. Phone checking often provides stimulation or escape. Instead of relying entirely on self-control, prepare another response. You could decide, when I reach for my phone during focused work, I will write down what distracted me and return to the task. Or, when my brain needs a break, I will stand up for 2 minutes rather than opening social media. Moving the phone out of reach will also make the old behaviour less automatic, as will deleting social media apps or locking them during certain times of the day. Replacing overworking. Working without breaks can feel responsible, especially when you're busy. However, constantly pushing through tiredness usually reduces your focus and increases the risk of burnout. A replacement habit might be, after I complete a focus block, I will step away from my desk for 5 minutes. Or, when I notice I'm reading the same sentence, I will pause instead of forcing myself to continue. Rest is not the opposite of productivity. It supports your ability to do meaningful work consistently. Can also replace stress eating. Not every urge to eat is caused by hunger. Sometimes food provides comfort, distraction, or a pause. Before replacing the habit, identify the need. When the trigger appears, try asking, am I hungry, or do I need something else? If you're hungry, eat. If you need a break, take one. Stressed? Step outside, call someone, breathe slowly, or do something that helps you feel calmer. Habit substitution is not about denying genuine needs. It's about responding to the right one. A simple step-by-step habit replacement plan. You do not need to tackle every bad habit at once. Choose one pattern and treat the process like an experiment. So step 1. Choose one habit. Pick a habit that has meaningful impact on your energy, focus, or consistency. Avoid choosing the biggest or most emotionally loaded problem simply because it feels urgent. Start with something you can observe clearly. Step 2. Write down the full pattern. Use this structure. When trigger happens, I usually old habit because it gives me reward. For example, when I feel unsure how to continue, I check emails because it gives me relief and makes me feel busy. Once the pattern is visible, you create your substitute. When trigger happens, I will new habit instead. When I feel unsure how to continue, I will write down the smallest next step and work on it for 5 minutes. Step 3. Prepare the replacement. Do not wait until the trigger appears to decide what to do. Prepare in advance. If you want to walk instead of scroll, keep suitable shoes nearby. Want to drink water? Place it where you can see it. If your replacement is working for 5 minutes, leave the document open and ready. If you want to pause before answering requests, Practice the sentence you will use. Preparation reduces the amount of thought required in the moment. Step 4. Make the old habit harder. Add some friction to the pattern you want to change. Turn off notifications. Log out of distracting accounts. Move snacks out of sight. Keep your phone in another room. Remove shopping apps from your home screen. The aim is not to make the old habit impossible. You're simply creating a pause in which you can remember your replacement. And step 5. Track and adjust. Keep a simple note of what happens for a week. You record the trigger, whether you noticed it, which behaviour you chose, whether the replacement helped. Do not use the tracker as a scorecard. Use it to learn. You may discover that the replacement is too difficult, happens too late, or fails to meet the original need. That information helps you improve the plan. Why your first replacement may not work. Sometimes a replacement habit sounds sensible but does not work in practice. That does not mean habit substitution has failed. It may mean you misunderstood the reward. Perhaps you thought scrolling was caused by boredom, but it's actually caused by anxiety about the task. A quick stretch may not meet that need. Breaking the task into a small step might. You may have already replacement demanding much. Now work don't get to How habit substitution supports sustainable productivity. Habit substitution is not about packing more helpful behaviours into an already overloaded day. It's about changing the patterns that quietly drain your energy and scatter your focus. Replacing reactive email checking with choosing your first priority protects attention. Replace a working lunch with a proper pause supports energy. Replacing automatic agreement with a moment to check your capacity reduces overwhelm. Replacing total avoidance with 5 minutes of action builds consistency. These changes may look small, but they alter the way you move through your day. Productivity is not only about the tasks you complete, it's also about the habits that help you stay focused, protect your well-being, and keep making progress without burning out. So final thoughts. Replace the response, not the need. So what is the best way to replace a bad habit with a good one? Start by understanding why the old habit exists. Notice the trigger. Identify the immediate reward. Then choose a more helpful behaviour that meets the same need. Make the old response slightly harder. Make the new response easier. Prepare for it before the trigger appears and keep the first version small enough to repeat. Most importantly, remember that an unhelpful habit does not make you an unhelpful person. It is a learned response, and learned responses can change. Choose one habit this week and complete this sentence. When happens, instead of I will. That one decision can give your brain a better path to follow. If this article has helped you rethink habit change, explore more practical guidance in the Rethink Your Perspective Knowledge Centre. Join me for a free What Matters Wednesday productivity reset across my socials, or get in touch to find out how coaching can help you build habits that support your work, well-being and long-term goals. To your success, Jay. Rethink Your Perspective.